Hello everyone, today our group will introduce the Uja Uja community and explore the emergency challenges faced by this remote community in far north Queensland, Australia. Uja Uja is a small community located near the Bloomfield River in the White Crtical regions of Queensland. It is home to the Eastern Kuku-Yalat people, who have lived in this area for thousands of years. The community has a strong connection to country, rich cultural traditions, and deep environmental knowledge. However, Uja Uja is also one of the most isolated communities in Queensland. Because of its location, the community faced many challenges during natural disasters, especially cyclones, heavy rainfall, and flooding. To better understand these challenges, we first look at the community and cultural background. The Eastern Kuku-Yalat people have a strong sense of the identity in the community. Traditional knowledge, family relationships, and cultural practices play an important role in daily life. This cultural strength helps the community remain resilient and support each other during difficult times. Next, we examine the environmental and hazard context. Uja Uja is surrounded by rainforest, rivers, and mountains. While this natural environment is beautiful, it also increases the risk of natural hazards. During the wet season, heavy rainfall can cause the several flooding. Tropical cyclones can also damage houses, roads, and essential servers. Because there are only limited road access to community, flood often isolate residents from nearby towns. This makes emergency response and recovery more difficult. For this reason, understanding local environmental conditions and cultural values is essential when planning the emergency management strategies for Uja Uja. In the next part of our presentation, we will discuss how emergency information is shared and how the community prepare for the response to natural disaster. Thank you.
Let me introduce the first part, community and cultural context. First, Uja Uja is located in the far north Queensland and the Cape York region. It sits on the banks of the Bloomfield River and is surrounded by rainforest, mountains, waterfalls, river tributaries, and creeks. This nature setting makes the community highly connected to country, but it also creates risks during extremely weather events. In terms of location, Uja Uja is a small Aboriginal shell with an area of about 20 square kilometers. The community spaces are closely shaped by the Bloomfield River, the waterfalls, the bridge, and the local road system. The nearest service town is Cooktown, about 60 kilometers away, while the closest major city is Cairns, around 4 hours away by road. The population of Uja Uja is also quite small. According to the 2021 census data shown in the picture, the total population is 276 people. Around 93.5% of residents are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people, and the median age of indigenous residents is 29. This shows that Uja Uja is not a large town, but a small and mostly Aboriginal community where local cultural, family connections, and community service are very important. Eastern Kuku-Yalanji is not a single village, but a First Nations culture and language group that includes multiple clan groups. Local groups connected to this area include Kuku Nyankau and Jalanji Wara. This is important because the community's identity is not only based on its physical location, but also on cultural relationships with the land, river, rainforest, sea, and ancestors. Language is also central to identity. Kuku-Yalanji is a living language still spoken in this area. It carries place names, seasonal knowledge, plant and animal knowledge, family relationships, and cultural memory. In the 2021 census, 92 people in Uja Uja reported using Kuku-Yalanji at home, showing that the indigenous language remains part of everyday community life. Some useful Guguyalanji words include Bana, meaning water or river, Bama, meaning people. These words show how language connects everyday life with culture, place, and country. This seasonal knowledge is closely connected to camping, hunting, collecting bush foods, and understanding weather cycles. For thousands of years, Guguyalanji people have used their environmental knowledge to live with the rainforest and harvest local foods. It also introduced the Eastern Guguyalanji seasonal knowledge system. Instead of only using 4 European seasons, Guguyalanji knowledge recognized 5 seasons: the stormy season, the wet season, the winter rain season, the cold season, and the hot season. Uja Uja has a tropic climate shaped by monsoon rainfall, rainforest, mountains, and the Bloomfield River. The community is warm throughout the year, with average maximum temperatures around 30 degrees Celsius and average minimum temperatures around 22 degrees Celsius, based on nearby Cooktown Airport climate data. The most important climate feature is the strong wet and dry seasonal pattern. Rainfall is highly concentrated between December and April, with January, February, and March being the wettest months. March has the highest average rainfall. In contrast, the driest months are usually August, September, and October. Art is also an important way of expressing connection to country. These pictures include examples from Bana Iraj Art Center. Artists create contemporary artworks using materials such as driftwood, earth pigments, and acrylic paint. These works represent animals, reef, people, history, and the environment. For example, artworks such as D1 or Australian bush turkey and Crtical, meaning reef, show how local art can express both cultural stories and the surrounding landscape. This page introduced the Laura Quincan Dance Festival, a regional indigenous cultural gathering in Cape York. It is important because it represents the wider cultural landscape of far north Queensland and Cape York. The festival brings together Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander dance groups to share stories, songlines, body painting, dance, and connection to country. It shows that culture is not only preserved in museums or documents, but actively passed on through performance, community gathering, and intergenerational learning. The natural environment around Uja Uja is highly biodiverse. The pictures show that the community is surrounded by high mountains, waterfalls, river, tributaries, and creeks. The Bloomfield River runs through the landscape and connects the community to rainforest, hills, and the coast. This environment includes important animals such as snakes, cassowaries, turtles, and crocodiles. These species are part of everyday environmental awareness, but they can also become safety concerns, especially after floods. The Bush Tucker section shows the strong relationships between Guguyalanji people and the rainforest food resources. The picture lists many local fruits and plants. They show that the rainforest is not only a natural landscape, but also a source of food, cultural knowledge, and traditional practice.
Well, the next section is Uja Uja community disaster and environmental context. I will talk about the disaster and environmental context of Uja Uja, a remote and dangerous community in far north Queensland, Australia. My presentation will cover the environmental background, major disaster risks, critical disaster events, emergency response challenge, and recovery efforts. The environmental background, Uja is the traditional homeland of the eastern Kuku-Yalati people. The community is located on the banks of the Bloomfield River and it's surrounded by tropical rainforests. Where this environmental is beautiful and culturally important, it also creates natural disaster risks because the community is located near the river and close to the coastal. It is highly vulnerable to flooding, tropical cyclones, and tremendous rainfall. The region has a tropical climate with a wet season from the November to April. During this period, heavy rainfall can quickly increase river levels and create dangerous conditions for residents. There are three main natural hazards in Uja. The first is flooding. Heavy rainfall can cause Bloomfield River to overflow, leading to river floods and flash floods. Some houses and roads are located in low-lying areas and are especially affected. The second hazard is the tropical cyclones. Cyclones often bring strong winds, heavy rain, and storm shores. These events can damage homes, roads, power systems, and communication networks. The third hazard is extreme rainfall. During the several weather events, rainfall can reach very high levels, causing landslides, roads, and widespread flooding. Okay, the Uja has experienced the several major disasters in recent years. In 2019, far North Queensland experienced the several monsoon flooding. The heavy rainfall caused the Bloomfield River to rise rapidly. The road were cut off, transportation were disrupted, and many homes were damaged. These events had a significant impact on the community. Local artists even create artworks to record their experience and tell stories about the flood. These artworks show how disaster affects not only buildings and infrastructure, but also culture and community life. The most serious recent disaster occurred in December 2023, when tropical cyclone Jasper made the landfall near Uja. Also, the cyclone week nearly before reaching the community, it brought record-breaking rainfall after many hours of intense rain. The Bloomfield River burst its banks and flooded the entire community. This became one of the worst disasters in Uja history. Most homes were flooded, roads, public flagship, electric systems, and communication networks were severely damaged. Around 217 residents were executed to the Cooktown for safety. Some of the residents became trapped on rooftops and higher ground while waiting for the rescue teams. Rebuilding continued for many months after flooding. So several challenges occurred during the emergency response. First, flood roads prevent emergency vehicles from entering the community quickly. Secondly, the power and communication services were disrupted, making it difficult to residents to receive the important information. Third, some residents become isolated and struggled to access food, clean water, and medical supplies. Finally, Uja's removal the location made the rescue operation more difficult and increased the team needed to provide the assistance. These challenges demonstrate how remote the communities can face the greater difficulty during the natural disaster. So after the disaster, the several governments and humanitarian organizations provide support. These organizations include the Queensland Government, Queensland Police Service, State Emergency Service, and Australian Defence Force, Australian Red Cross, and Uja the Share Council. They provide emergency funding, vacation support, temporary accommodation, healthcare service, and rebuilding programs. In 2024, recovery efforts continued. The community focusing on the repairing the infrastructure, rebuilding homes, improving disaster preparedness, and strengthening the resilience against the future disaster. So the Uja is a culturally significant indigenous community. But it faced several serious environmental risks due to its location. Flooding, tropical cyclones, and extreme rainfall are ongoing threats. The 2019 monsoon floods and the 2013 Cyclone Jasper disaster clearly shows the vulnerability of the community. However, so the strong community support, government assessments, and the long-term recovery planning, Uja continues to rebuild to become the more resilient. So thank you for listening.
Well, the next section is about Uja, obtaining information sources available for emergency situation. As is well known, the Uja community is home to the Bluefield River, a famous waterway named after the unique fishing species found in these waters. The Bluefield River serves as an important cultural plow for the local Eastern Kikuyu people, providing them with food and tourism resources, but is also a direct cause of the frequent flood in the area. The specific process is as follows. Whenever the rainy season arrives, sustained rainfall is first detected by satellites and water level monitors. The data is fed into a rainfall model after analyzing satellite cloud imagery and water level data. It is input into a comprehensive analysis model to double-check the forecast results. Finally, flood risk assessments are generated for different regions, disseminated through communication channels at all levels, and monitored continuously in real time. Local residents receive information through different channels at different stages. When an emergency is limited, they prepare based on government announcements. During an emergency, they rely primarily on alerts and information from the acquaintances. After the emergency has occurred, they turn mainly to information from community service organizations or the internet. In this area, which faces a risk of flooding every year, the Eastern Kikuyu people deeply cherish their culture and sacred sites. They are unwilling to leave, nor do they want the sacred site to be destroyed by flooding, given its complex situation. The government has decided to establish the dedicated department responsible for developing specialized early warning plans, allocating special funds, and utilizing professional technological equipment to safeguard the right interest of the Eastern Kikuyu people to the greatest extent possible. Flood risk management in Queensland involves many factors. As it emphasized in the Queensland Flood Risk Management Framework, flood management is a shared responsibility among the state government, local government, emergency services, and the communities. The framework covers areas such as planning, infrastructure, emergency response, and community resilience. Furthermore, the analysis of the Ujo community reveals that the most affected stakeholders, local residents, and the traditional landowners of Eastern Kikuyu local organization, including the Indigenous County Council and the Health Center, provide support for emergency response and community communication. State-level agencies, such as the State Emergency Services, the Queensland Police Service, and the Queensland Disaster Management Authority, provide emergency services and post-disaster recovery support. In the analysis above, we identified several issues. As a result, gain some insights regarding task 2, communication strategy, communicate-led communication network, multi-channel emergency communication, and action-oriented emergency information. Finally, there are the references for the assignment. Thank you for your watching, and I hope this information is useful to you.